again. I almost did it. I almost did a Robin. Can't remember his name now. Good morning, Vietnam. Oh. Good morning, everyone. On Deconstructing Singer's Genius. So, in the poster that you see, not here online, but what you got to see earlier, you kind of get challenged. Like, are my favorite singers perfect? No, they're not. Well, but we also want to tell you that they're better than perfect. They're greater than perfect. We're going to prove that without any shadow of a doubt today. We're going to take a look at Hozier. Did they say Hozier or Hozier? I don't know.
I'm not, yeah.
Okay. Well, you're my guest. Come on.
That's above.
Anyway, just you can see this poster right here. Here, let me put it up on. No, you don't need to put it on the stage. So here's is there 2 guys in the group or 3? It looks like in the picture here there's 3 that look like the same guy and then 2 that, or maybe even only 1.
I wonder if that's all him and just
it might be
stages.
Even playing the cello there. So maybe he's a solo and he just uses guys for studio sessions. We don't know. We think we know, but we don't know. Do you know much about, let me introduce Tony Silva. He's my guest today. And he's going to be my producer, and he's going to reach out and slap me upside the head if I do something that doesn't look quite right. And we appreciate him for doing that. But he's also, as the guest, gets to select the artist and the section of the song that we review. So what do you know about Hozier so far, besides we don't know how to say their name?
Other than not knowing how to say the name, I don't really know a lot about them. I've heard a couple of their songs, and I just really love the guy's voice. He did I think their first hit was "Take Me to Church," and he did a version with Annie Lennox.
Oh, really?
Live, if you haven't heard it.
I have not.
That was it. I heard that, I was sold. So I'm digging in now because I only discovered them recently, and I'm already a big fan.
So we'll take advantage of the fact that Tony's done this with me before. What do you hope to gain from working on Hozier's track?
I'm a fan of the freedom that he has with the way he sings. I mean, aside from the quality of his voice, he has a freedom and a gospel-y type of feel to him, but he doesn't restrict himself to it. And, he has a very unique way of doing those vocal riffs.
Mm-hmm.
So I really wanted to sort of dig into the way he does his riffs because they're interesting.
Cool. I got to look at them again. I was pointing some things out to you that I just picked up. We'll talk about this later, but let's do a myth bust. Now, if the myth is true for you, and may not be, that you believe that when you sing you should be perfectly on pitch, which is unfortunately something I taught in the 80s and 90s, and that you should be perfectly on rhythm. And these are not true for this style of music. And I knew that instinctually because I played rock and roll when I was 12 years old, so I never learned growing up with sheet music and all that stuff. But when I went to voice lessons, then they had me doing that. And then when I taught as Seth Riggs' partner, they had me doing that, correcting perfect pitch. And we had a pianist come in and, play the notes for us so that we could sing along. But the problem is that even then, I remember thinking, okay, everything's got to be perfect. But now I don't like Elton John anymore. Now I don't like Neil Young. Now I don't like the Beatles. It's like, I can't handle this. It's like, this is not making sense. So over the years, I have come to pass this information on to you so that you don't have to go for who knows how many years without this information. The first thing we're going to take a look at to myth the bust the myth, is going to be software called Melodyne. Now, most commonly, and I did ask, someone did ask me the other day if I did any editing with this software. I do not. I only use this for evaluation. So this is the section of the song that Tony just mentioned by Hozier that we're going to take a look at. And this is just his voice only. Let me play that for you. You won't hear any music, just his voice. Now, there's a gazillion amounts of information just in that one line, which we'll get into later with Audacity. But let's take a look at his accuracy during that riff. Now, when you heard it, I'll play it one more time, you probably thought, wow, this guy's right on. He's great. He's perfect pitch, perfect rhythm. Now, let's take a little bit of a deep dive at what we're looking at. These orange, reddish, whatever you want to call them, are mentioned as blobs.
Blob.
That's what they're called, blobs. So this is a vocal blob. Instruments actually look a little bit different, but the voice is a more complex instrument, so therefore you get a bigger blob. But right here, automatically we see this, hey, this line that slides him up, but he does hit this right on. It's only 5 cents. Is that too loud, Tony?
It's a little bit loud.
Yeah, I can turn it down.
Thank you.
Is that good?
Maybe even down a touch more, please.
Okay. We don't want to hurt anyone's ears, including mine.
That's good. Thank you.
Okay, now, if you can see it, there's a couple of little boxes above that blob. The one on the left says F4, that's the name of the pitch. And the one to the right says +5 CT, which means short for percentage. So that means that right here he is 5 cents sharp. That's pretty, really, actually, I would call that on. This one here, now, let's take a look at how this works. From left to right, this is pitch. So all of these blobs are going to be on this left to right parts of the graph. And the rhythm is the lines that go up and down, the vertical. So that's another issue. Does he sing perfectly on rhythm? Well, unfortunately, we don't have the ability to actually show you, but you can take a look at where he's ending up on these lines. And you can see right here, he's right in between the 16th, where he starts right here. Right here it's a little hard to tell because he's got this slight artifact coming in right here. But I would say this is close to being on. This one here, he's late. You can see a little bit of the 32nd note is showing up just before the blob. Down here, early or late, sometimes it's hard to tell. Let's go with on for that one. I love these where they're in the middle of the gray box. The gray box is showing the beginning and the end of the vertical notes, and he's right in the middle of it. So if there's any music theorists out there that could tell me that he's singing the 128th note, please chime in. And don't be afraid to make comments. Tony can see them. He can't respond, but at least he can tell me about them. And then so forth and so on. But let's not belabor this entire thing because it's not worth it. But right here, he's quite sharp. 31% sharp. You wouldn't hear that. And you didn't hear it. Okay. Here you got sharp again, 14 cents. This one's going to be flat. 7 cents flat, sharp here, 14 cents. I love this line here because he's got, hey, it's like a blues riff right here. And so you get these two pitches, and this is where he starts, but then there's this line up there that where you actually hear the riff. I'm going to play it again. It's going to go by quickly, but try to watch it. Right there. So he's and it's a blues note, so he's a little flat. So he's in the B flat area here, but he's not up to the B, which would be A to B, I think, in the key of F. No, it would be B flat, A to B flat. No, I'm not in the key of F. What key am I in? Yeah, F major. Yeah, so it would be a B flat.
Hey, Brad.
Yeah.
Just really quick, you have two people. One, Megan says hi, and Pixelized Razor AC actually asked what this is and is a little curious to get some detail.
Oh, thanks. Okay, so hi, everyone. Now, when you say what this is, are you talking about the entire show or just this Melodyne here? You could make a comment and Tony can pass it on. Or maybe I can take a look at it real quick. Let's see. Comments. Okay.
Up a couple. What is this?
I wonder.
Yes.
What is this? I wonder. Ooh. Music? Okay. Yes, definitely music. We're definitely talking about music. Okay, so what we're doing is called a myth bust. We're taking a look at one of the most famous singers in the world right now, Andrew of Hozier, and we're taking a look at his pitch and rhythm, letting you guys understand that believing that in perfect pitch and perfect rhythm is not cool. That's not going to work. We'll get more into that in details later, but this shows that this great singer sings some sharp, some flat, some in between the 30-second note, sometimes on the 30-second note. Right here, he gets a whole step of a riff. I believe that's the G to A. Yeah, so he gets it pretty good there. But again, listen to it. It's kind of bluesy, but it's really there. Here it comes right now. Yeah, it's pretty close to being good. And we don't hear a lot of this in rock singers. So that's another thing that was cool about Andy picking this one up. These notes here, which are called cadence notes in music, are pretty much right on. And you'll find that's fairly consistent with most contemporary singers, that the root of the chord is usually, or the key you're in, is usually going to be right on the pitch. Not guaranteed, though. we were looking at Aretha Franklin the other day, Natural Woman, major classic from the last century, and certainly into this one. And she was sharp all over the place. There was a couple of notes that were on key, but a lot of sharp pitches. Okay, if there's any questions on this, if you're still chatting, please ask before I move on.
So far, so good.
Okay, all right, we're moving on. Stop sharing this guy. Okay, the next thing we're going to take a look at is sheet music. Why are we going to look at sheet music? Because people try to learn these songs from sheet music. So we're going to take a look at the actual riff that is in the sheet music. And based on what we just heard, you're going to notice that it's quite different. And it's right here. Okay, is that looking good?
No, not yet.
No, not yet. Got to put it on the stage. See? Thank you.
You're welcome.
These things that you have to go through on this thing are crazy. See, hide.
It's a lot of detail.
Put it on the stage. Oh, I've removed. No, there it is. Okay, there we go. Now can you see?
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and you see the blue right here is where I'm going to start. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So when I click play, this thing plays a piano part. And so you can hear what that riff sounds like in the sheet music played on a piano. It was supposed to be piano. Let me fix that real quick. Mixer. Sound fonts. Piano. There we go. And then we'll use grand piano, of course.
Nice.
All right. Now it's cleaner with the piano that is that synthesizer. And play. Here we go. Oh, it skipped over. All right. Could start right here. This is just before the riff. And this is quantized. I'll explain that in a moment. So ask yourself, does that sound anything like Hozier?
Yeah, that's a pretty definitive no.
Thank you. I didn't want to say it because I might look prejudiced. Okay, so now am I saying this is wrong, bad? No, I'm just saying it's a different way to try to learn, and you can use this maybe as a reference, but if you want to actually know how Hozier does what he does, hold on for Audacity. We're going to run through that with Tony. Tony's the student today. He's going to be learning, and
Yes.
that's why he's agreed to be my guest. Otherwise, he'd tell me no for sure.
Absolutely.
I'm kidding. Totally kidding, guys. Let me get back to the studio here.
I think we have more humor in the morning than we do in the afternoon.
Well, we can't watch the last one because there's no audio. We won't know.
Maybe that's a blessing.
Yeah, we'll have to. Actually, I did see some of the video, though. We were smiling, and
Oh, okay,
so,
good.
yeah, if you couldn't hear, you could kind of still see what's happening. So anyone have any questions about that? And I think the answer is no. So we're going to move on to Audacity. This is really where the learning begins. This is called, let me put on the stage. This is called a DAW, meaning digital workstation. And that basically means that's what people use to record music with these days. They don't use tape and big mixers and all that anymore. I mean, big mixing boards and so forth. They still love to show them in their studios. They show these, 64 track boards, use up half a house. But they only use like two or three tracks on the thing. Everything else is right in here, right inside the computer. So we're looking at 2 tracks here of Hozier. This is the exact same song. This track here, you see 2 of them, but it's one track. This is his voice. Therefore, I can control his voice, just like in Melodyne. This voice is separate here. And then the second track here is the music. So if I mute the voice, all you'll hear here is music. And then vice versa, if I mute the music and just want to hear the voice.
Was everybody's disapproval. I should've was a person.
Okay, so this gives us, again, more control over what we're trying to learn. We're going to start right here. This is the point just before that riff that we saw on Melodyne. So, Tony, I'm going to start it a little earlier this time because I noticed that, especially when it goes slow, that bass drum is the only thing that's keeping rhythm.
Right.
And so if you don't hear the ding, ding, ding before the boom, boom, it's a little hard to kind of feel where you were.
Okay.
So this is not to make it easier, is to make it so that you learn more.
Thank you.
Because if we try to just come in out of the blue, then we tend to be either sharp, flat, push the rhythm, pull the rhythm. Anyway, not very accurate. So let's just listen to him first. I'm going to click play. Then you'll see me click pause. And I'll show you why in a moment. Now our focus is the second half of that. If you can see this clearly enough, between these 2 lines you see up here these 2 little blue blobs. So I guess we call it that here too. Blue blobs instead of orange blobs. And we're working on the second one. So the first one is just to hear what's going on so that we can come in on the second one with some intelligence. At least we hope we have some intelligence. Now, let's just listen to it a couple of times, and I'll show you how we try to learn these songs. And this is where the mistake is made by myself in the past and many people currently, even students that I have that have been singing most of their lives, make the same mistake. And here it is. Amen. Amen. Oh man, was I hot?
Hallelujah.
Did you hear how hot that was?
That was inspiring.
Oh yeah, get the whole. But if I didn't completely drown him out, which is sometimes what we do when we try to learn from singers, you could tell that I was not with him. And that's the point. When I'm hearing someone sing and I'm singing at the same time, I don't really know what they're doing. I'm not sure what they're doing. So this time we're going to do something really radical. That's why I call myself the radical vocal coach, is we're going to listen. I know. With microphones, that's really powerful.
Oh, I should have leaned back. I'm sorry.
No, it was perfect. That's why I amplified it, because it was even better than mine. Okay, so let's just listen to it, and I'm going to click pause again and show you what the 2 lines are all about. Feel the rhythm. Boom, boom, boom. Boom. So now I click pause. Now what that does for me is it gives me the beginning of that phrase and the end of that phrase so I can highlight them. So I put my, what they call the pencil here, and I drag this over until both tracks are highlighted. Now I've got this section. I can do what I want with it. And we can, I'm going to do that later. We'll loop it so that we can just automate it, so we can go to sleep or whatever we want to do. We can do a deep meditation while we're listening and just let it do its thing, which is not a bad idea. I think I would teach that if I'd thought about it before. Meditate while you're listening, be aware. A lot of meditation, especially what they call mindfulness now these days, is about having a mind that is listening instead of procreating. So instead of inside your head, while you're listening, you want to kind of go not blank, but be in a listening mindset. Now, I'm going to jump ahead to what we call tempo change. Why, Brad? I don't know.
Why, Brad?
Yeah, there you go. See, I knew I didn't know. All right. Now, you couldn't see what I was just doing because, unfortunately, this screen share doesn't show the top of the screen. Anyway, so I'm in the change tempo section of Audacity. And this is arbitrary. It could change, but I'm going to put minus 60% since that riff goes by really fast. Footnote here is when you use Audacity to change tempo or pitch, check this little box right here. It will stay checked from here on out, so you don't have to do it once. Now we're going to preview to see if I've achieved somewhat of the goal I was after. Okay, sounds slower to me. So click apply. Now, the reason I waited to do this is because now when I click the loop, it gets all of the right part of the song. Okay, so here's our drill. I've already showed you the wrong way to do it, and even I don't want to say wrong, the not so good way to do it, and even that was smarter than what we usually do because I only took one phrase. But quite often when we learn an entire song, we just click play and sing from beginning to end. And when there's a riff like this in here, it only happens once. So you might repeat the song 20 times, and there may be some sections of the song that are somewhat repetitive, so you'll get those. But the ones that only happen once, you're probably going to miss. And again, because when you're singing along with someone else, you can't really hear what they're doing. So back to the radical thought of listening, and I've had record producers back me up on this. They say, you know what, Brad, you're right. I go, oh, thank you. Now, some of them are musicians, and they know that if they want to learn contemporary guitar riffs, for instance, they've got to listen. You've got to learn by ear. You can't use sheet music, and you can't use music theory. All right, so we're gonna let Tony and yourselves and myself listen to this the slowed tempo twice. If he was practicing, I would suggest he do it 20 or 30 times until he can absorb it, because as we showed on Melodyne, you cannot figure out exactly when he's going to do something. So you have to absorb what he's doing. If you try to match him while you're actually singing, which we'll try to do today, you'll notice it's very difficult to be right with him because you hear him and then you react. You hear him and then you react. So you're usually a little bit behind. Sometimes you jump ahead. Anyway, here we are, listening. And we are on stage. Here we go. Sounds like a day in life right there.
It does.
One more time. So what we were trying to do is listen for details, and also, guess what? We can actually hear the notes he's singing. when things are done at the original speed by a great artist, sometimes you only hear 2 of the notes of the 5, or maybe you only hear 1 of the 5, because it could have been, hey, man, could have been that, no notes in between. But this guy is much better than that, so he puts in every little note. So we need to hear those. So the slowing down makes a big difference in that. Let me point this out to you all. He uses what's the vocal technique group calls, which I'm part of, calls a glottal attack. And a glottal, or a glottis, is the distance between 2 vocal cords. So when you're breathing, if you're looking towards my face, that's my lungs, then they're going to do this. When they create sound, they come together like this. So in a glottal attack, they kind of snap together. Rather than slide. Ha, ha. Now, in classical music, choir, so forth, because there's a need for a large amount of projection, they teach a lot of air movement, and so they usually put an H. So they would say, no, he's doing this wrong because it should be hey or ho, hey man, hey, okay? But with microphones, that's not a big deal. So he can use a glottal attack and not suffer the consequences. So he's literally saying, eh. So he comes in, oh, eh, man, eh. I'm down an octave, but you get the idea. Glottal attacks there. What else did you notice this time, Tony? I saw you react.
Yeah, well, you know, when we tried to do this first time around, I was surprised about how many notes he's actually squeezing into that phrase, and how many times he does that riffs, and it's the same reaction. I always hear that one extra one that I'd never accounted for.
Oh, there's another one.
Yeah,
we can go back to Audacity. I mean, Melodyne and count them.
It's you know, that's actually a really cool idea.
Let me do that real quick.
And while you're doing that, just FYI, this is the first time I noticed really clearly how many consonants he skips at the end of his phrase.
Yeah. And we noticed that last time that he leaves the N out of men.
Yeah.
So it sounds like he said amen.
Yeah.
Okay. So what?
Yeah.
He's the star here, guys. Not. Oops. I didn't mean to do that. He's the star. So let me see. Let's go back to where this was. There we go. So we are saying this is the right way to do it. Andrew's doing it the right way. Now he probably does it a little different every time, but because he's such a great artist, he's so hot and into all this kind of stuff, every time he does it's probably really cool. So we're not going to argue that it's maybe different from time to time. But let's take a look at Melodyne again to see how many notes are in that riff. So I got to stop this screen share first. Okay. Well, it lets me do one at a time. That's probably smart. Helps keep me from getting more lost. When you use this YouTube thing, they don't tell you that you have to be a studio producer and that you have to know all this. It's just quite a learning curve. But I do suggest that if you're an artist and you're trying to promote your music, or even if you're just want to do some live stuff to work with your friends or whatever, this is called StreamYard. There's quite a few of these. StreamYard does a really good job, and I recommend that you do it, even though you'll make mistakes like me. Okay, so we have. This is in the other recording. There's O just before this, but here's what A3 A. And there's actually so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 right here. This is 2 notes. 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe even 12 there, and then definitely landing on 12. And then these are little artifacts at the end. He's like, because he's moving around on stage. This is a live version. Did that help you at all, Tony?
It does. It does.
Great. Again, I see more and more people are coming and going, so feel free to chat. Tony will tell me what's going on, and then I can answer your question on the mic, because I'm busy over here. Leave me alone. I'm busy over here. Okay, so we're going to go back to Audacity now. So we could go back to all of this is learning. If you want to learn something, this is what this show's about. I don't have a duck on the show or anything like that. The other day, one of my guests, dog barked, and that was kind of funny. But and we do have a great time. We have a great time learning. That's one of the beauties of this, what do you call it, living. We make a living at this, and we have a blast. And if we weren't having a blast, no one would want to even deal with this. And that goes back to this perfect issue. If you get up and sing perfect because you're thinking, okay, I got to be on pitch, I got to be on rhythm, and that's what your introspection is. In other words, you're singing words, but what you're really feeling is, what am I doing? Your audience will sense that, and they probably won't come back. They might give you a polite applause because, hey, you did okay. You didn't hurt their ears or anything. They didn't want to throw tomatoes. Does that ever happen anymore? I've never. Anyway.
No,
Don't answer that
well,
question.
whenever I start a show, I usually ask that they only throw soft things anyway. So
Hey, Tony's been around the block. Not that he's ever had them thrown at him, but he knows if they're going to.
I'm prepared.
Let's keep it soft. Actually, wouldn't it be better to be like styrofoam balls or something, because you don't want any liquid either on your
Yeah,
keyboard.
that's true too. I never thought about that. Thanks. I'm going to change my request. Maybe I'll even bring a bag.
We're always learning. I'd bring a bag and some absorbent towels. Okay. All right. So we're back to Audacity and learning. And Tony's just listened to the fact there's more notes and that there are consonants, or there's words that consonants are not completed, and there's glottal attacks. And when we speak, actually, this is interesting. I just did it. Actually, that's a glottal attack. When I actually say actually, I don't say actually. Now, I could say actually. There would be no glottal attack. But in average world speak, glottal attacks exist, so therefore artists do it because they want their music to sound conversational so that you can relate to them.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
So, glottal attacks, there's no air buffer on those chords. So those chords hitting together much harsher than, and obviously, I'm sure you know the question, why I'm asking the question, because of the nodule history and all that stuff. So,
yes, but it's, there's a big difference between, if I get away from the mic, there's a big difference between that and
Okay. So it's still a safe place.
I have not had any trouble with it.
Thank you.
Microphones change a lot of things. They change the amount of air that we blow. Again, let me just preface all of this. I do not teach vocal technique online, meaning YouTube streams or video programs or books or audio tapes, because it's too personal. I need to be there to see the reaction that the student has to whatever it is I give them. I'm also reacting to them, so I need to hear what they're doing even before I decide what to give them. So if I go on YouTube and it says, okay, I want you to breathe, and it gives you this whole imagery of every time you sing, that's going to be really bad for microphones because they don't like all of that air pressure. You need it in choir, you need it in opera, you need it in musical theater. It is a negative in recording. Now, they will throw a compressor or limiter on you, but here's the drag about that. If you were normally sing the song between 60 and 80% dynamic-wise, the loudest being 80% of decibels, or 80 decibels, let's put it that way. So 60 decibels kind of average in between. Then when you hit whatever the loudest note in the song is 80 dB. If that goes into what they call the clipping range, they're going to take a limiter and they're going to knock it down to 78 or 75 to keep it so that there's no distortion, unless they want it. Sometimes they do. However, here's the problem. You've got your headphones on. Now, if the limiter is in your mix and you've been practicing 60 to 80, when you don't hear 80 come out because it's been clipped, you're going to go to 90 because you're going to try to compensate. What happened to my voice? I'm used to hearing 60 to 80. These are all instincts, by the way. We don't have time to think these things. They just happen. So we go into kind of a panic mode and just start yelling. And then the sound engineer is going, boy, this guy cannot sing. I don't know what the problem is. But they don't even know they're doing it. I've educated them on it, and they go, I didn't know that was happening. This is the singer's experience, and we have to protect ourselves. So when we talk about my book later on, it goes into all that, about how to deal with sound engineers and recording sessions and live sound engineers and so forth, to protect yourself. Because there's only one person on this planet who really cares how well you perform, and unfortunately it's you. It's not your sound man, and your audience has an expectation. They would love for you to be at your best, but they don't know what that is, and so they're not going to tell you, Tony, you better do your best or I'm going to slap you on the hand with a ruler. That stuff just does not happen. I don't teach that way. I'm not the singer's police. So I just, that's a joke between Tony and I. Point is, that I'm here to guide you and help you be an artist, because if someone's forcing you to be an artist, then you're not an artist. And there are people on the top 40 who are arguably very popular and great entertainers, but I would not give them the term art, because I can tell by the way that they're performing that they've been coached how to perform, whether it be by a voice teacher or their producer or their parents or whatever. It just doesn't have the feel. Now, this fellow I do not believe has been coached. He is 100% art. Now that we have talked so much, I'm going to let Tony listen to it one more time.
Thank you. I could use that.
And then he's going to sing along with it. And the point is, and I love letting Tony do this, what is a unison, and why do you want to create a unison with Andrew? Tony.
Okay. So a unison, you have two singers, one singing his part, the other one trying to come together and sing it all at the same time. So when you do finally actually sing at the same time, same pitch, same key, all of that, it is no longer two voices. It is one identifiable new voice that has merged together. Did I get that right, boss?
Yep. Yes, sir. Well, luckily it's a fairly simple concept, but you could make it overcomplicated, and then I would say, okay, Tony, that was really cool, but no one understood what you said, except for me. And maybe I didn't even. Maybe we'd have to have a music theorist in here to figure out what you said. You can see, folks, I'm flexible in the way that I think. All it comes from 55 years plus of being in the music industry and almost 50 years of coaching.
Well, you started when you were 3, huh?
Thank you. And as Tony said, one of the sessions, I wish I'd have known this when I was 3. I wish somebody taught me this when I was 3 years old. Because what's really interesting, let's talk about this against where Tony and I are similar backgrounds. We're both musicians, and we both have learned how to improvise from other musicians, how to do lead solos and create our own improvisations. And that really helps if you're a singer. If you ever want to learn how to do that on an instrument, it will help your singing immensely. But what's interesting is that when we learn from a lead guitarist, or Tony's listening to a pianist, Chick Corea or whatever, and he wants to understand what's going on here, he has to create unisons. And he has to go slow to get the finger dexterity. And there was an example of a voice teacher giving the vocal dexterity of a riff. Okay, so there's your riff. So start slow. Then slowly speed it up till you get really, really fast at it. But here's the problem with that, is that riff will not sound like the artist that you love, because when you look at them on Melodyne, like we showed you, those riffs are not perfectly in time. And if you're practicing with a metronome and you're doing things slow and then you're slowly speeding it up with a metronome, you're going to have the notes and you're going to be fast, but it's not going to feel right. So you need to do it with the singer that you admire, or singers that you admire. You can use, Audacity doesn't just have Hozier in here. Hozier. It's got any song I want to put in here. Mary Had a Little Lamb, Metal Funk. I don't know. Do you watch if you watch the Billboard Top 40, there are so many different categories right now. Psychedelic trap, folk rock, jazz, blues, rhythm and blues. Okay, what is that? Right? But anyway, point is that we had to learn all the details to get it right, but we didn't figure this out in singing. I didn't figure it out until about 20 years ago. That this is really, really important. I understood it as a guitar player, but I did not understand it as a singer. So why am I doing these YouTube things? There's a couple of reasons. One is I'm a teacher. I love to teach. I want all this information to be out there. I want all of you to be colleagues of your favorite artists, not worshipers. And when they're singing really fast and you're trying to catch up, you feel like a worshiper, because you're just like, I don't know how they do that. This is impossible. I just can't figure this out. But when you slow it down like this, you become, and create a unison, which is what Tony's going to work on next, then you become a colleague of theirs. Now, that doesn't mean you're a star. That's a whole different subject matter. But I have said in the past, if you don't sound like a star, it's going to be tough to become one. I know that sounds backwards, but that's the way the audience looks at you. Let's say Epic Records comes in, sees you at the Whiskey Go-Go in L.A., and you don't sound like a star. Odds are he's not going to want to make you one. But if you sound like a star, now he's thinking, I think I want to put some money behind this artist. Hey, Tony, you just disappeared.
Oh, sorry
There
about
he
that.
is. This is what happens with all these buttons in front of us. You just can't resist. Click on that one. Okay, here we go. You want to listen to it twice, Tony?
Please.
Here we go. Listen. Ugh. I don't know that you want to learn that, but it's there. The very last of that, he goes, ugh.
I forgot. Oh, I think we were going through Michael Bublé, and he does a lot of the same thing. There's a lot of those just sounds that I never picked up before either.
Yeah, and for folks, again, but if you don't make them, the audience is going to feel that there's something different about you that they're not going to think is good. They're not going to think it's bad. They're just not going to think it's good. So, Hozier's on the radio, and they come to your show, and you sing this style of music entirely different. They're going to tend to say, well, he doesn't sound like Hozier or any of the other groups that I've heard in this genre, so therefore I'm going to pass. I'm going to pass on Tony and go back to Hozier. But we want to have Hozier, Tony, blah, 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 on the playlist, right? So we want all of these options, and this is where AI is going to come in. It's just going to be an option. I know it has a #1 single on country right now, which blew everybody's mind, but it's just another song on the top 40. It doesn't mean that it controls the market. So be careful when you see these things on YouTube. It's over. Forget the music industry. It's dying. They get lots of likes and subscriptions from that, but it won't really serve you. And how do I know this? I have a lot of friends that are in the recording industry, and they know what's going on. At least they think they do. Okay, here you go. Sing one more time and then sing along.
Thank you. Amen.
Again.
Amen. Would you bring him up a tiny bit?
Sure.
I can't lower my voice much more on my side to
Sure.
compensate.
You want me to lower him or?
No, bring him up
Yeah,
a little
okay,
bit,
here we
please, his vocal.
All right, here we go.
Thank you.
All part of the process, everyone. It is.
Amen.
One more time. that one, Tony?
It's getting closer.
Yeah.
I'm hearing very clearly that it's coming closer, and I'm hearing very clearly where I'm missing.
Excellent. Now, everyone, he's an accomplished musician and arguably a very accomplished singer, so he's going to be faster at this. That doesn't matter. What matters is that he's learning at he's earned his ability to learn as quick as he does, and you will as well. But here's the number one thing about learning. If you learn something you've never done before, you should have pride and excitement and energy for that. Doesn't matter whether you started at 0 and went to 1, or you were at 50 and went to 52. That's not relevant. What's relevant is you enjoyed the process, that you got better. This is a coach talking. Okay, so now what we do, so that Tony can really understand where he is at on this song, is we're going to record on multitrack, and this is why I'm using a DAW, so that he can hear himself recorded and then listen back, so that he can say, okay, this is where I was on, and that's what we mostly want to focus on. Where was I on? The little parts where I missed, okay, I noticed them, all right, fine. Let's do that, and then I'll explain the next process. Here it comes.
Amen.
I let it roll for that. Okay, now as you can see, we've created a new track. There's a neat thing that you can do in Audacity called View. You go to track size, fit to height, and now we can see all 3 tracks better. Everything's smaller, but at least we can see all 3. So here's Tony's voice recorded, and here's the music, and here's Andrew. Okay, so what we're listening for is that unison. Let's see how Tony did. We're not trying to be Andrew. We just want to see if we're matching his phrasing and pitch. Okay, to help you integrate, Tony, what would be the next process for you?
What I would probably do is
learning.
Yeah, I'd probably. Well, I'm certain I would sit down and I would Am I muted?
No.
Oh, okay. Something weird happened. I would go back and listen probably a bunch more times before I try it again, because when I'm doing it together with him. I'm having a lot of really happy moments where I'm the satisfaction of, I just gotten it. But those spots where I'm hearing, I didn't realize I was kind of missing that alignment just enough. So I would go back and listen to it and get it in my head a little stronger.
Beautiful. So what is the technique that you are applying at that point that we've talked about? Right or wrong, doesn't matter. What do you think it is? What technique will you be applying when you are going back?
Oh, please help me, because the only
Listening.
thing I could think of in my head, I would be just learning his style and reinforcing it, so getting it more comfortable in my head, so I can do it more naturally as I try to unison with him.
Excellent. So I'll expand on that. It's called creating an integration, meaning that you become, in your mind, you are already Andrew. You already know exactly what Andrew does in your mind.
Okay.
Having it come out, the voice is different. But in your mind, you've listened to it enough times that you have absorbed what he's doing. And I've tried using music theory and sheet music to do this, and I can't make it work. If you can make it work and you think there's something good about that, let me know. Make a comment. I'm more than happy to have a discussion about it with educated people. So he's going to integrate to the point that he actually knows what Andrew's doing even before he starts singing. Then he'll go back and sing it until he feels that unison has gotten better, or at least good enough that he thinks, okay, I can't learn any bit more by actually singing along with Andrew, so now I'm going to record myself again. And then when I record myself, if there's any little details that I want to iron out, I'm going to go back to listening. Maybe less listening than earlier on because I'm getting closer and closer. But now I'm really, really close. Maybe I'll go back to listening 5 times, sing a couple of times. Then let's say you recorded and you nailed it. You created an absolute unison with Andrew. And I'll play for you all a demonstration of a singer who goes from this point where he doesn't know what the singer's doing to actually creating the unison and what it sounds like. But what it does for you all is it creates a tremendous amount of confidence. We all started off as music worshipers. We all were little kids or whatever age we started at, watching TV or listening to the radio or whatever, going, oh, I wish I could do that. Oh, that is so cool. So even now, as adults, when we match somebody we admire, it's a strengthening process. It's like, oh yeah, I'm better now. I know about what I'm doing. And we're going to talk about the fact we're not trying to be copy artists. So hang on, I'll get to that. This is not about becoming a copy artist. It's becoming an individual artist. So then, of course, you'd start to speed it up. Because remember, we talked earlier about you do want to speed those riffs up so that when you do them live, that they're accurate. And so then you go back to the listening, singing, recording, and at a faster speed. And as you saw in this effect section here, that you can change speed. You never want to change speed because it changes the pitch and the tempo. But you can change the tempo individually, however you want to do it, and you can change pitch. So Tony's a tenor, so that F was not a problem for him. But let's say that you were a bass and you wanted to learn this riff, then you would go in and change the pitch. Let me show you what that sounds like. So you always do it in semitones. Now Audacity doesn't really know what it's doing right here, so it's actually not -3, it's 0. So I'm going to put a 0 in there so that we're both on the same page. Now I'm going to put in, after I remove the 0, -3. So let's say this is a little high for me, but I don't want to go too low because then I'll lose the entire feel of the thing. Now I'm going to preview it. Okay, yeah, I'm in a lower key. Yeah, now that F's going to be a D. So I'm going to apply it. And I'm going to remove Tony's track here. Okay, now it'll actually react to me. All right. Now you get to hear Hozier in a lower key so that you can practice without strain. Because you don't want to strain. That's a bad habit. See, it's a D now instead of an F. Isn't this technology great? Now, if you're a woman and you wanted to learn this lick, then you raise the key. Maybe 5, 6 semitones. You just have to experiment, see what's comfortable for you, what feels right. And then again, always get back to the original speed. And if you want it, Hozier's got, when you listen to him now that you've got the ears for it, even at the original speed, you're going to notice that every phrase is a little different. So there is so much information in here you could spend a couple of months. If you don't want to stay on one song for that long, I understand. You can just bounce back and forth from different artists. Just take one little line. Maybe maybe you're a superstar and you've got your own technique and everything. You've got your own style, but maybe you heard something that Aretha Franklin did that just kind of blew your mind. Well, put Aretha on here and figure it out. Don't feel like, oh, I'm a superstar, I can't do that. No, we all can learn something, because I like to say that if you were the greatest musician, if I was the greatest musician in the world, and you just were like in awe of everything I could do, you could still find something I can't do that I would struggle with, because music is infinite. Maybe it'd be rap. I have learned to rap, but I'm not very good at it. So again, that 50 years of singing, 60 years of singing is not necessarily going to help me in every situation. So if you're a superstar, you can still benefit from this. If any managers are watching this, you might want to recommend this to your artist. Or record labels or record producers, whatever. Okay, so what is the long-term purpose of this? It's emotional expression. So without speeding it up so that Tony can still feel like he's basically in the world that he has been in for the last half hour, we're going to mute the vocal, and Tony's going to make up his own. You okay with that, Tony?
Sure.
All right, he's going to be the artist this time, not the imitator. Here we go. Oh, I need to change the key back.
Oh.
Or did I do it already? Unchanged. Yeah, undo pitch change. Okay. But we still have tempo change in there. All right, good. All right, here we go. Whoops, hold on. He's not supposed to be there. Okay, so let's eliminate that track. All right, here we go.
Amen. Amen.
Good. Now this had one run at this. We're going to record you so you can check your art.
Okay.
See what you liked and what you didn't like. And this is very personal, guys. It's not. This is totally between Tony and Tony.
Amen. Amen.
Now he gets to listen back. We have seen some interesting things on Melodyne, folks. It's like 2 octaves skips. And it's crazy. All right, here we go. Listening back.
Amen.
Listen again. What do you feel exposed you and what did not
Okay.
as an artist?
Amen.
Now, we're not ready for this section, but Tony knows that in the long run he would be trying to do that strictly with emotion after he decides basically what riffs he's going to do.
Yeah.
So just give us a brief summary of what you would change or keep.
Okay.
What would you keep?
What
More
I would
important.
keep is the syllable, the second syllable on the amen parts, both of them.
Okay.
I kind of felt like for those couple of moments I got my feel into what I was doing.
Excellent.
I'm not disappointed with the actual riff and the notes that came out, but I would probably review them a few times and let it happen more naturally. Cool. And I also would not be doing this at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Take a note, folks. Unless you get up at 2 in the morning.
Yeah, I feel like I hear myself trying to push to compensate for the hour, so I gotta try to push that out and listen to it at a time when I'm just just more natural without having to compensate.
Excellent. Now I'm going to put on my record producer hat here, vocal producer, because I do that. One of the things that happened here was a slight crack in your voice.
Yeah.
Now, I would not necessarily take that out. Right. I kind of expected you to say you were going to. Because those are the kind of things that really bother singer. Good job.
Yeah, no,
Good job.
you know what? You've cured me of that.
Oh, okay,
because
good.
yeah, if I have even when you said sometimes if you get a little saliva coating on your chords or a little mucus on your chords and you get that sound,
phlegm.
Phlegm. Thank you. I'm beginning to appreciate that it's okay as long as it's not causing me a problem and pain or pushing or anything like that.
Yeah, and it could be part of your emotional expression.
Yeah.
You know, it could be, hey, man, hey, man. You know, who knows, right? So when you're singing emotionally, you should not critique yourself. Let the producer do that. Let the audience do that. Just be yourself. And one of the things you can count on, and Tony's experienced this now, is if he feels it, he knows everyone else will too. It is concrete, it's black and white. You're not keeping any secrets. Now, of course, when you're introspecting, they don't know what you're doing there. They just know you're not home to them. You know, because you're singing amen, and you're thinking, was that pitch right? Was it amen? And it's like, okay, I got it right. My voice teacher would give me an A+. But the audience is going, this guy is really cool, but it's kind of cold. Kind of cold. Then somebody else comes up and sings right after you, goes, amen, ooh, amen. And everybody goes, yeah. And you're going, what happened? I was better than that guy. Of course, that's a whole nother subject. Don't be competitive with other singers. The audience is not competing with thinking of you that way. They're not. I mean, maybe they are if they are your friend and they want you to do better than the other singer. But as an audience in itself, when you're performing, they don't really care whether you're better or worse than the other person, and neither should you. It's just you and your audience, just like it would be you and your girlfriend or you and your boyfriend or you and your friends talking, and no one should be competing as to who's best at it. This is all about communication. It's not about competition. I'm not a big fan of the TV shows. I understand how they work, and they work the way they work very well, but they're not the way artists live their lives. And many artists that have auditioned for those shows have been turned down in the first round and then gone on to sell a couple of million records. So it's not right or wrong. Again, it's my fruit example. Let's say the TV shows are grapes, and being a legend singer is apples, and being a classical singer is spinach, and that's not a fruit, tomatoes, and being an artist is an apple. Okay, so we're all fruit, right? So let's not get down on each other about anything. Let's just say, okay, that's what you do. That's really cool. I don't want to do it, but I respect your right to do that, sir. This is a country that's supposedly based on free speech, and art is a form of free speech. So let's stay with that. Okay. Let's start to kind of wrap up. I'm going to show you the demonstration I talked about earlier, where you will hear a singer go from the first demonstration we did, where I sang along and couldn't really hear myself and didn't really know what I was doing, to the next part, which is the singer has gone through the process of doing all of this on their own time and mastered all of these licks. So the first thing you'll hear is Ed Sheeran singing a live version of... what's the name of it?
It's still early. It's okay.
Yeah, it really is. Anyway, you'll recognize it. And then you'll hear the singer trying to imitate it the way that we showed is not the best way. And then you'll hear how the singer went through the program and actually got the lick the way it's supposed to be. Okay, so we're going to add it to the stage. So I need to stop the screen here. And, of course, I talk to myself while I'm doing this, just to keep you entertained, right? Nice rationalization, Brad. Didn't cut it, but nice rationalization. All right, here we go. It's just a little video demonstration I made, so I'm not going to talk during this part. Hi, this is Brad Chapman, Radical Vocal Coach. I'm going to show you how Ed Sheeran is such a great, incredible star. It's not on the stage. In other words, not only good, but you'll see why it adapts to any singer. The way we try to learn from these people has not been working. Didn't work for me, doesn't work for hardly any student I've had or anybody I've ever known. So I'm going to show you the way we do it, and you'll see why it doesn't work. Then I'll show you the results of my VMS system, and you're going to love it. Hang on for a great ride.
Did you bring it up a touch?
Yeah. Thank you. Just got to get to the right spot. Here we go. That was Ed. Now you recognize it. Well, I'm in love with the shape of you. We're push and pull like a magnet do. And though my heart keeps falling too, I'm in love with your body. If you're a singer, you recognize that. Or I'm in love with the shape of you. We push and pull like a magnet do. And though my heart keeps falling too, I'm in love. So that's a unison. Okay. What do we get out? What did the singer get out of the unison? Oh, I know Ed Sheeran's lick. And if you didn't notice, there's a riff that goes by very, very quickly in there. Let me play just the first
Is
part.
such a great, incredible star.
Let me play the first
etc.
part of that.
In other words, not only him, but you'll see why it adapts to any singer. It doesn't work. Then I'll show you the results of my VMS system, and you're going to love it.
So
Hang on for a great ride.
Here's Ed doing that riff. Listen for the fast thing. It goes by very quickly. Right here. He's pretty good, isn't he?
He's okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that had to be slowed way down for the singer to get those exact lines and riffs. And I also used Melodyne to make sure we knew what Ed was doing, because one of the notes that he sang was in between two possible notes. So I didn't know if he was sharp or flat. Let me get back. Oh, hey, Instagram, how y'all doing? Here we go. All right, so that kind of wraps all that up. But the next step for that singer would be, like Tony did, would be to remove Ed and work on his own line. Maybe even change the riff, different notes, whatever. Be an artist, be a creator. So there's two places that you can get more information. This QR here to the left, if you put your camera up there, you'll see the Vocal Muse Suite, and you'll be taken to a web page which will give you more information about that. And then this one QR to the right, put your phone on there and see my book, Sing From Feel, Unleashing Your Authentic Voice, which goes into all the emotional stuff, and like how to work with sound engineers and how to handle the stage and so forth, and stage fright and blah, 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 blah. And it's also, when you click more, below the site here, the URLs are there as well. So you can find this information. I've tried to make it easy, like all marketers do. Oh, I'm a marketer. Oh, what did I say? No, being a marketer is not being a bad person. It's just trying to make a living at what we do. I personally like private coaching. That's one of the reasons I have guests on here, ghosts too. But one of the reasons I have guests on here, so that I'm teaching, because that's my strength, not giving diatribes or lectures. It's working with people and watching Tony's reaction to the things I say when he goes, and I go, oh, I'm sorry. If you watch the different guests that I have on, Tony and I are the ones that crack it up the most. So if you want a good laugh, just check us out. Okay, so please like and subscribe, because you never know when I'm going to be doing one of these shows, because I don't know when I'm going to be doing one. I do have one scheduled for Friday at noon, but I usually don't know that far ahead. Being slow right now, with the holidays, I can get ahead of this a little bit, but I prefer the private teaching. That's where I'm getting at. This is a secondary thing. I'm not trying to make a living at this. I make a living at coaching, and this is kind of what you call your side hustle. I hate that term, but that's what a lot of people are calling it now. If you have, it used to be called a career. It was like a career that wasn't your career, and I can't remember what they used to call it. But anyway, it was like, I make a little bit of money over here, but I make my main living over here.
Moonlighting.
Yeah, that's a really good one too. There's a vocation.
Vocation, nice.
Vocation, little more official. So you can have a vocation, plus. So my career is private voice teaching. I only teach for vocal technique, as I mentioned earlier, one-on-one, never on YouTube. You won't find anything in my book about vocal technique. You won't find really anything on the Vocal Muse System suite. There's 30 videos that take you right from A to Z through that. It's great. It's really well detailed. And you can put any song you want in there. I picked a song that was called The Rose by Bette Midler because I felt it was really illuminating in some very simple areas that we didn't hear in Andrew, because we're focused on the riff and some of his other things. But Bette has some really incredible subtleties that just make the record soar like it did. And so anyway, when you go through there, you can put any song you want on Audacity while you're following on the program. So I've tried to cover everything. Please always communicate with me like everybody else asks you to, because we're just kind of talking out into nowhere, and we don't know what's going on out there other than people are still eating and drinking and watching the sun go down. Other than that, we have no idea. Any last-minute questions or comments, Mr. Silva?
No, not today, actually. This anything that crossed my mind, you covered.
Shh.
You should do this for a living.
I won't do that next time. Huh? Sorry, what did you say?
You should consider doing this for a living.
I should. And by the way, we're using FarPlay for the audio section of this so that we can crosstalk. And so that Tony could actually sing into my Audacity. He's in his own home. I'm in in his studio, my studio. And we're using Audacity Connect, and we have virtually no latency. And as you could tell, he was able to match Andrew pretty much without worrying about latency. Highly recommend farplay.io. This is a great app, and that's what we're using. And that's why when we talk at the same time, you can hear both of us. If we did that on Zoom or if we did that on StreamYard, you would not be able to hear that. We would have to do like, Tony, what about this? Roger. And then he'd know if he could talk. And then he could talk, and then he'd say, Roger, and then I'd know. Yeah, those are the old radio days, right? And I think we should do that with Zoom.
We should give that a try. The only thing is we need to actually have somebody named Roger on the show.
Now that is
sorry,
abstract.
I laughed at my own goofy
No, that's
joke.
good. That's abstract thinking. I like that. That was really funny. Okay. Hey, I will say thank you and goodbye, and hope to see you on the next show. Subscribe and like. I know you learned something, even if you hated it, so click like anyway. We'll see you all later. Bye-bye.